Have you been noticing strange goings on in the world of Clash lately? This might be due to the new troop AI. Can we attack the town hall with a goblin from the opposite side of the map? Let's check it out and explain to you in this video exactly what the changes to the AI system were and why Supercell have decided to change them back. Check out this little goblin as he runs past every single building on the map in order to attack the town hall. It looks crazy, right? Well, we're going to explain the AI system in today's video. Make sure to leave a like if this one is helpful and subscribe for more Clash of Clans. Let's get into it, guys. Let's break down the two systems. Just before we start, massive thank you to Onyx for helping me set this up. He has a fantastic written guide on the AI system on the forums, which will be linked in the description of this video. But the AI system was changed so that troops would take into account the 5 closest buildings from where they were deployed. Now that is the 5 closest buildings irrespective of how difficult they are to get to. It is the 5 closest buildings, so the Barbarian takes into account the 4 builder huts and the air sweeper. It doesn't even register the mortar, which it has to walk past to get to these buildings. It will calculate the easiest building to get to out of these 5, but it will not take into account any other buildings. That is why it will walk right the way past it to try and break into this compartment. The old system, which is now the new system because Supercell are reverting back, you get the idea, that takes into account 3 buildings, and you'll see in a couple of other examples later on why this is important. You can see that giants, golems, any defense targeting troops work slightly different. They will take into account the 5 closest defense buildings. So you can see here that the giant will go for the mortar because it is within the 5 buildings it initially takes account for, and it is the easiest to get to. However, the same rule would apply if there were 5 defense buildings right next to the giant and it had to walk around a wall past a 6th in order to get to them 5 that it initially calculated. So it is from where you deploy the troop that these buildings are calculated. Again, guys, the system is reverting back to 3 buildings only, but let's take a look at some other examples. So let's take a look at a more realistic section of a base. Again, we'll deploy on the arrow, and you can see the 5 closest buildings towards that are the air defense, wizard tower, elixir collector, and the 2 mortars. So the Barbarian will calculate and only choose between them 5 buildings. Clearly the closest to get to and the easiest, because they're all behind one layer of wall, is the wizard tower. So that is the building it will target. Even on the 3 building system, this would be exactly the same for the Barbarian, but it would change for the giant. So as we deploy the giant, we have the air defense, 2 mortars, wizard tower, and the cannon. The mortar over on the west is not calculated at all because it's not within the 5 buildings. However, what happens when we take out some of the defenses that are within them 5 buildings? Let's check it out. So we have a Zap Quake combination here ready. Let's, for example, take out this air defense. Then that will take out one of the 5 buildings and redirect the giant. Didn't mean to take out that mortar, but the principle here is exactly the same. You can see how the giant now calculates within its 5 buildings the mortar on the west. And this is a perfect example as to why Supercell are changing it back to 3 buildings. Under the new system, obviously I can't record this gameplay right now because we have 5 buildings, but when it changes back to 3, the giant would have targeted the wizard tower right in front because it would only calculate them 3 defensive buildings. If we take out the mortar here, it will show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at another couple of examples, but I hope this is all making sense. Now real quick, just before we move on, we have explained up until this point that is the 5 closest to get to buildings that are calculated, but there has to be some sort of radius. From testing, this looks like it is a 15 tile cutoff. In the last replay that you saw, the last example, the giant went for the mortar because it was within them 5 buildings and within range. This mortar is 16 tiles away, and the giant, despite the mortar being within the 5 buildings, will attack the wizard tower. Let's move on to that next example. Starting to wrap things up here then, again this is gameplay of the 5 building AI system. I cannot capture gameplay of the 3 building system because it hasn't reverted back yet, but it will do. So the 5 closest buildings are again the air defense, 2 mortars, elixir collector and the wizard tower, but watch what happens when we put the barbarian in. It will target the mortar on the very west because that is the easiest to get to. There's a gap in the wall. Despite having to walk past that cannon, it doesn't register the cannon because it only registers the 5 closest buildings. Under the old system, it wouldn't go for that mortar. It would go straight towards the wizard tower because the 3 buildings would be the elixir collector, wizard tower, and air defense. However, when we use the giant, you can see it does go for the cannon because the elixir collector is not calculated within the 5 buildings. So there you are, guys. I hope that does make sense. Let's check out the example of the goblin and see if we can make any sense of that. But that does wrap it up for this video. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on the AI system down in the comments section. What did you think when it changed from a 3 building to a 5 building system? And are you happy that it is being changed back to the 3 building system? Did you have any epic fails? I personally had a war fail where my queen walked around the outside of the base, where under the old system she would have gone in. Obviously would take some getting used to, but let's take another look at this example of the goblin. This is fantastically set up by Onyx. It would appear that within the 5 building system, this is somewhat timed, so the goblin will target from the arrow the 5 elixir collectors directly in front. It will happily run right past that gold storage because under the system, it only calculates the 5 buildings. However, along the way, he gets distracted. He's run out of time. He seems to have redirected, and each time he redirects, he runs out of time until he targets the town hall, or at least that is what it would seem. Certainly a difficult one. Absolutely hilarious either way. Without that skeleton trap, we would be able to take out that town hall. And to think, using 1 goblin, you can take out the town hall from the opposite side of the map, running past every single defense, well, that is an epic challenge in itself. I hope you have enjoyed this video explaining the new AI system and enjoyed watching the goblin run right across the map. I have been your host, Judo Sloth. Make sure to subscribe for more Clash of Clans, and until next time, peace out, guys.